Hello and welcome to the Nutrition Digest podcast. We're your hosts and registered dietitians, Alicia Kugler, Tara Valenti, and Summer Williams, here to dish up the nutrition tea, dispel the myths, inspire, inform, and hopefully entertain you a little bit. And with that, let's dive into today's content. Today, we're diving into something that derails so many people that are well-intentioned along their health journey, and that is the all or nothing black and white mindset, which we've discussed briefly in previous episodes. And today our goal is to really talk about where does this come from? Because I think for some of us, it's like, hey, where, why, what? Also, people wearing it like a badge of honor. Why? We'll talk about why is it uncomfortable to be in that gray area or to have moderation? How does it show up in our life, in nutrition, fitness, and in our lifestyle? And what does it mean to fail forward and build sustainable change for the long term?
So let's be honest. The all or nothing mindset didn't come from nowhere. It's a product of many different things. And we're going to summarize the three main topics of where this came from. So number one is diet culture. So thinking about decades of good versus bad food messaging. Foods are either good for you or they're bad for you. You're on or you're off. You're succeeding or you're failing. Also, trends that moralize food, such as clean eating, cheat meals, which I hate the word cheat meals and cheat days, and detoxes, again, that focuses on negative. And then finally, programs that only measure success in weight loss, inches, or macros.
Yeah, I feel like society as a whole, we have the obsession with being extreme. And that's where you kind of hear people come with the badge of honor of like, I'm a black and white person, or I'm all in, or I'm all out. And we celebrate kind of like that crazy 8-week transformation, 12-week transformation. We don't necessarily celebrate when someone has made this really gradual change, which is really screwed up if you think about it. Media presents health as binary. You're either 100% clean eating, almost borderline orthorexic, which we will talk about later, or we're completely off track. We've seen those YouTube videos of people going on like a mukbang, cheat day, eat all the baked goods in sight, and that's really causing that extreme. We also see the fitness culture on the training side, especially right now, where you see these like crazy athletes going on like 100-mile long races, where you have this extreme of people going like, go hard, go home. Is it 75 hard? Like if you can't stay on track, you are off and you are a failure.
I love that you brought up 75 hard because that is exactly what I was thinking of when you were talking about all of this, and I was going to bring it up too.
Yeah,
definitely.
That ties me into the other category here, which is the cognitive biases side of things. And really this kind of just has to do with how our brains prefer to work. It's easy for us to simplify things. We want things to have hard rules like 0 carbs, or I only eat keto. You want to follow like these specific rules, and it makes it easier to kind of manage things in your mind if you're oversimplifying. Unfortunately, nutrition and fitness don't really work that way, but that's why so many people gravitate to things like 75 hard, because it's extreme, but the rules are very clearly laid out. There's no gray areas. There's no room for wiggle room. There's no room for having an off day or for getting a cold or for anything like that. It's just like 75 hard, you follow these specific rules, and that's the only way to go. So the result with all of these things, the diet culture, society's obsession with extremes, and our own cognitive biases, our brain's natural tendency to want to find simplicity in things, causes us to internalize the belief that if you can't do something perfectly, it's not worth doing it at all.
And this mindset can be super sneaky. Like I think sometimes people don't necessarily identify as all or nothing thinkers. And then I know we can all relate to this with clients. They come in and they're like, okay, so I don't keep peanut butter in my cupboard, or I don't keep chocolate at home because I know that I'm going to eat all of it. Or if I eat one cookie, I'm just going to binge on the whole thing. Or I'm super on track, and if you have like one day where you have a social gathering, I'm falling off and I need to get back on Monday. And we've talked about kind of like the back to it tomorrow, diet starts on Monday, kind of that mindset, which isn't necessarily. And for some people, it's if they're not following it 100%, they're failing, which is such a fallacy, but we'll talk more about that.
Also in fitness, all or nothing mindset shows up all the time. You can call them excuses, you can call them whatever you want. But the reasons why, if you don't have something, you're not going to be able to achieve your fitness goals. So I don't have a gym membership, so I can't work out. I don't have an event or a race that I'm training for. So what's the point of training? It's that all or nothing thought process that says if I don't have something, if it's not perfect or easy or black and white and spelled out for me, then I'm not going to achieve my fitness goals, so why try?
Right. And we see this in lifestyle goals too. So it's not just isolated to nutrition and fitness specifically, even though those are our favorite things to talk about. But with lifestyle, we see it in ways where it's like, for example, your routine. Maybe you have I love this one. Maybe you have an awesome skincare routine every single night. But if you skip it one night, it's like, okay, well, that's out the window. My face is destroyed. I'm just not going to do this anymore. Why even bother brushing my teeth? Who cares, right? So lifestyle stuff can also fall apart when we have this all or nothing mindset. And these patterns, they're honestly exhausting. They're not sustainable. It's very taxing because you're so extreme in one area and that requires so much energy. But then when you fall off, there's often so much shame and guilt and negativity. And that's just not a sustainable pattern. So it's going to create that guilt, that shame. It's going to create the illusion of failure, even though you're not really failing. And when the majority of all of our efforts are positive, that's kind of what matters the most, right? We're looking at the big picture stuff, not that one day that was kind of off. So why is it that people struggle with moderation? Why is the gray area so hard for us human beings? There's 3 primary reasons here. One is that it requires discomfort, and people don't like being uncomfortable. So part of what we need to do is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Sitting in the gray area means making nuanced decisions without clear rules. So we need to start being cool with that, realizing that things are nuanced. Nutrition is extremely nuanced. It drives me crazy how we, as a society, try to oversimplify nutrition so much. It's very, very nuanced. So we need to get comfortable with seeing that there needs to be flexibility. You have to trust yourself rather than outsourcing to a plan or program. So our bodies and our minds, we're very smart. We need to be approaching things more intuitively and figuring out what is working best for us as individuals instead of leaning on some kind of program that was created generically for any human being.
A really good kind of example people struggle with the gray and trusting themselves would be when people are tracking their macros and they think that they have to follow the macros that we've created for them, or they're completely off track. When a lot of them, they need to kind of practice listening to their body, because sometimes, well, even females, we have different points in our cycle where we're burning a little bit more, or maybe your workout was a little bit harder, or maybe you're going through a life stressor and your body's telling you it's hungry, or maybe you the opposite. Maybe you aren't feeling hungry and you feel like you should force feed yourself. And it's kind of hard because we think that we should be just following the plan versus listening to ourselves.
Yes, I get this question a lot with people that I'm working with who are tracking what they're eating. It's the end of the night. They've eaten all of the things that they wanted to eat today. They had breakfast, lunch, dinner, they had snacks. They look at their food log and they're like, oh no, I haven't hit my protein goal yet. And they have this debate, should I eat more just to hit my protein goal? I'm not really hungry. And I'm like, then don't eat. You got to listen to your body. It's not just about hitting the targets. It's also about learning to listen to your body's internal cues. And yes, these recommendations and these guidelines might be generally mostly appropriate for you, but they're not going to be perfect every single day. Nothing is.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's
and one more point on that tracking thing too. I think tracking is a really good tool for a lot of people, but then I know for some people, they're all in with tracking, and then as soon as they're not able to track, it's free range to eat like an asshole. To eat like an idiot. Sorry, whatever term we're gonna use. To just throw in the towel and just eat without abandon, or eat with abandon.
Yes.
So it's just that's where we have to kind of trust ourselves and trust what our body is, and then knowing that, yeah, it's not all in or all out with food if there's tracking involved.
Right. Or just ever. It's not It's just not all in or all out. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk about is, in terms of why people struggle with moderation, is that it lacks immediate dopamine. So we love getting a dopamine rush. It's something that human beings just naturally gravitate to. And when we do these more extreme interventions, we oftentimes get a little bit of a dopamine rush. Extremes often come with like that adrenaline, a sense of control, a sense of moral superiority. That's one that I see pretty often. Whereas those gray area plans, those gray area changes, they're often slower, they're more consistent, they're less glamorous. You're not doing a 75 hard where you can brag to your friends about how you've been doing 2 workouts a day for 70 days and you're almost to 75, and you have been drinking excessive amounts of water, and you cut out alcohol, you cut out sweet, you cut out like all these different things, and like you're trying to flex on your friends. It's really exciting to feel like you're doing something that's very, very challenging and people are hooked on that. It's not as exciting to be yeah, so I ate in moderation today. like nobody wants to hear that. That's not exciting. But in the long run, the way that your body feels and the results that you're going to get are going to be really exciting. It's just really hard to see that far into the future. So those gradual changes are just a lot less glamorous, but a lot more effective. And then the final one that I wanted to talk about in terms of struggling with moderation is that there's less external validation. So again, if you're bragging to your friends about this extreme thing you're doing, or maybe they're seeing this extreme sudden change in your body or your physique, they're gonna say something, which people shouldn't do, by the way. Don't comment on other people's bodies. But you might get that external validation. You might get people who are also excited with you that you've done this extreme thing. Whereas if you're, again, oh, I'm eating in moderation and I ate all of my servings of vegetables today, people aren't going to be as excited about those things necessarily, unless they're us. We would be excited about that. So society doesn't praise balanced choices the same way that it does extremes. And there's a fear that if you're not doing the most, you're doing nothing, which of course is not the case. So we want to reframe this. We know as professionals, as people who have been in this field for so long, and we've watched people make amazing, mind-blowing transformations. The gray area is where the magic happens. Consistency beats intensity every single time.
That's really well said. I completely agree. It's kind of that tortoise and the hare mentality. You stick with it for the long term, and you're going to end up finding the results at the end. Mm-hmm. You stick with it, you go really fast, go really hard. The chances are you may slip up, and that's where that all or nothing mindset comes in. We give up, or we fail, or we don't reach those goals.
Or we burn out.
Exactly.
I always use the analogy with a lot of my clients, hey, you know what? Yeah, there's those people that go the hardcore route. They look good really fast. They don't stay there. They rebound just as fast. Versus if you kind of talk about it in the gray or the moderate, you go a little bit more slowly, a little bit more sustainably, you're going to look better for longer and you're going to stay at that end point. We don't have to risk about that big yo-yo backlash, whiplash later on. It's Definitely. That kind of longer term change.
So next, I want to talk about how to combat all or nothing thinking. We have some tools that we've created and come up with for you, and some mindset shifts that we use with our clients. So number 1 is practicing imperfection. So make a plan with flexibility built in. So thinking about options for if we can't get exactly what we want to eat in or what we had planned to eat in because a meeting may come up, we have options. We have some healthy snacks in our drawer at work. We have some ideas of where we can eat because we're on the go because all of a sudden the kids have another appointment. You aren't going to have as much time as you thought at the gym, so we have a shorter workout. And also celebrate those B+ days. They don't all have to be perfect. Celebrate the fact that you got in and you did the best you can in that day with what you had available. Next, redefine success. Success equals showing up, not perfection. Again, if you put in the work, if you put in the effort, maybe you didn't eat 100% to the way your plan went because something came up, or you didn't hit that PR at the gym or in your run, or maybe you only got to do 4 instead of 5 days of a workout. You still showed up and you made the effort. So even though it wasn't perfect, you still can claim that as a success. And also normalize your maintenance seasons. So just being in a maintenance season, so just going with the flow, going with where you're at. Some seasons we're going to be able to train hard. We're going to be able to be super on it with our nutrition. A lot of my clients right now, it's summertime, so their kids are off school. They have more time. I have a few clients who are teachers, so they have more time to dedicate to cooking, to working out, to doing things for themselves because they're not working, minding the kids, running errands, doing school sports, all these things. So they're able to be a little bit more strict or a little bit more focused or dialed in. But once school starts again, that's going to change, right? They're going to go a little bit more flexible. They're going to have to make adjustments. And that's great. Even with training, same thing. Sometimes we're going to train really hard. We have an event coming up. We are smashing it. Other times we're in our maintenance season, just getting to the gym, doing some less intense workouts, some lighter runs. That's still success.
Also, I think in terms of off season and just like the different seasons in our fitness and wellness journeys, it's going to change so much. And sometimes what I love to do is just take some time to do activities that are unstructured that I just like want to do, like that just feel good on a whim. Mm-hmm. Like a bike ride sounds good. Yoga sounds good. I haven't swam in a while. And it's just like unstructured and random, and I'm just doing it for fun because I like it. Not like, oh, I have to follow this strict training plan because I'm trying to like achieve hypertrophy or whatever it is.
Absolutely the same thing with recipes. Oh, I usually eat this and this and this. But today I found this awesome recipe. I want to try this. Or there's a new restaurant. Let's go give it a try. Moving on from there, using the language of grace. So instead of saying, I blew it, or I messed up, or I failed, let's switch that. Let's say I made a choice and I can make another one. I chose to go to this restaurant and try something new. I chose to have a glass of wine after dinner when normally I don't. It's been a long day, and that's okay. I made that choice and I'll make another choice tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Same thing with working out.
Yeah, one thing that I kind of like adding on to that I tell my clients is just choose again. Mm-hmm. Make the effort and make the kind of the shift to be, just tell yourself, hey, choose again. Not a big deal. What is the next thing that you're going to be choosing?
Yeah, move on. Add, don't subtract. So instead of restriction, focus on what you can add. So instead of saying, I'm not allowed to eat this, I'm not allowed to eat this, I'm not going to do this, I'm cutting out this. What can you add instead? I'm going to add more protein. I'm going to add more movement. I'm going to take time for rest. So it's a positive shift. Again, we focus on that a lot through our podcast, is changing the focus from a negative to a positive. And then finally, anchoring to identity, not outcomes. So for example, I'm somebody who moves my body. I'm somebody who exercises. I'm somebody who eats well versus I work out 6 days a week. I'm losing weight. I'm a person who has to restrict my food. I'm a person who is going to lose 20 pounds and be this. It doesn't work that way. Let's see something that is more positive. Again, I'm someone who moves well. I focus on my health and my well-being. I'm a person who cares about my family and what we eat. It's such a better mindset.
Yeah, I really like how all of these kind of tie together into the next theme. That is another tool in our toolkit in terms of combating the all or nothing thinking, and that's failing forward. With the all or nothing thinking, we think that failing means we're done, which isn't the truth at all. A lot of times, failure will give us feedback and give us evidence to tell us how to approach the situation differently. And I really challenge people to reflect in these moments. So say, for example, you missed a workout. Take a moment, take a pause. What happened? Why did we not get that workout in? Reset, right back to normal. You overate at brunch with the ladies. Okay, don't judge yourself. Why did it happen? Move forward. If a routine fell off, pick it back up. So I know Tara was talking earlier about like her weeks with her check marks and things like that. I think it's like she does a really good job at just kind of like getting back to normal. A thing that I challenge with a lot of people is learning to be a scientist. So taking a third party kind of like observation mindset when we have these situations. Okay, so last night I ordered takeout, and I, instead of falling into the mindset of I completely fell off, no, take a moment. What happened in the situation if I was a scientist? So you know what? I honored the fact I was really hungry. I didn't have any groceries at home, so I ordered takeout. And you know what? I made the best decision given what was available. Okay, what didn't go as planned? Well, my plan is that I really want to try to make most of my meals at home. Okay, what can I do differently? Hey, maybe I can stock my freezer differently. Maybe I can make sure I have extra meal prep on a Thursday or Friday night when I cook those meals so that over the weekend, when I'm not at home as much or I'm running around, I can have that stuff available. And so it's learning from those moments when things are messy and we aren't able to control things as much, and learning, because that's ultimately how we're going to keep going and have better long-term outcomes. Every time something doesn't go as planned, that is setting you forward, not setting you backwards.
I love that. I am a big fan of ultra running, not personally, but maybe soon. And I fangirl all these ultra runners, and I listen to their podcasts and stuff, and I love to watch their YouTube documentaries and everything. And one of the things that is so cool about these athletes is the mental strength that it requires to do these races. But if you talk to any ultra runner, especially one that's been at it for a long time, they have DNF'd, which means did not finish, race after race after race. Almost every single one of them has taken a DNF at some point in a race. And it's not like, oh, well, I didn't finish, so like, I guess I should just stop being a pro athlete and give up this sport. It's part of it. And they all know and they all recognize that part of this sport, part of doing this very, very hard thing is sometimes failing at it. And instead of looking at that as a failure and a problem and like a bad negative thing, they gather all of the information from that event and they learn how to do it better the next time. So just like you were talking about, kind of approaching it like a scientist or a third party, approaching it with curiosity, collecting all of the data that you can from that so-called failure and using it to lift you up, to make you come back stronger so that next time there's a lower probability that you're going to DNF and your performance is actually going to be better than it ever would have been before. So we get knocked down, we come back stronger.
Yeah, and I will add on to this from the diet side or from the nutrition side. And it was a reel that I think one of us sent to the other one that was talking about how this diet, quote unquote, was working so well, and talking about how clients would come to us and be like, I did keto and it worked so well for me before, and kind of challenging that mindset of like, did it actually work that well if you fell off and are not on it still? And so kind of like, hey, what are we learning from all of this? And it's not necessarily failure. We're learning that a different approach needs to be taken, even if you think that it was a success in the past, and reframing that.
Right. Yeah. And what does success look like? Because in that perspective, success is very short term. It's like, well, I lost a bunch of weight very, very quickly one time when I did this, but it was not sustainable. And now I'm starting over again. So at the end of the day, that's not actually success. What would have been successful is if you were able to see long-term results. So what can we do to achieve long-term results, and how do we shift our mindset or our perspective on what success actually is and what it means?
Exactly.
So to kind of like bring it all together, the all or nothing mindset or approach is seductive, but it is not sustainable in the long run. Learning to be comfortable with sitting in that gray area and accepting that things are going to be nuanced, to fail forward, to trust yourself, that is where change really lies. So thank you so much for listening to the Nutrition Digest podcast today. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, follow. We love talking about this stuff, and we hope that it has inspired you today. Maybe you've gotten some things that you're going to implement into your life. So share it if you know someone that is stuck in this cycle. We want to normalize imperfection together.